This is ADCT World News and I am Vanshika Agarwal with Inside Prime, where every week we cover some of the best stories around the world that make an impact on your life. 90 days of war between Israel and Hamas. Earthquake in Japan make a massive impact on life. Many more coming up here on Inside Prime. ADCT World News, an extended version of over 13 years of dark web news platform. You can follow us on X, Facebook, Instagram and subscribe on YouTube. For latest global stories with depth analysis, visit our website adctnews.com. Welcome to Inside Prime of ADCT World News digital platform, a comprehensive coverage of the Israel-Hamas conflict, unveiling the complexities and providing insightful analysis. This is our today's cover story.
This weekend, Hamas started a war against Israel with the worst massacre of innocent civilians in Israel's history. Hamas was more barbaric and more brutal than ISIS. Let me be crystal clear. Israel will respond with determination and force to their unprovoked war crimes. Hamas murdered hundreds.
وحماس سلوكها في السنتين الماضيات انه عقلاني وما بتدخل في حروب وما وقفت مع الجهاد الاسلامي في معركته السابقه او انه دعمته من بعيد لبعيد، فالكل صار يقول حماس مشغوله.
لكن هاي كانت ضمن استراتيجيه
طبعا انه حماس مشغوله بالحكومه في غزه وبدها تدير بالها على 1.5 مليون فلسطيني وملتهيه وخلص تركت المقاومه، لكن حماس من تحت الطاوله كانت تحضر لهذه العمليه الكبيره. قديش بيتحمل الاسرائيلي؟ اكثر من اسبوعين ما بيتحمل. احنا بنتحمل، احنا عم نقاتل عن ارضنا وشعبنا ومقدساتنا، واحنا مش خايفين. نقاتل مدبرين، نستشهد مدبرين، بخاف من الاسر وبخاف يموت. الاسرائيلي معروف عنه انه بحب الحياه. احنا بنضحي، نعتبر انه قتلانا شهداء. فامنا يعني اهم امنيه عند اي واحد فلسطيني انه يستشهد في سبيل الله
يعني
دفاعا عن ارضه.
لا يوجد اي سقف زمني لهذه العمليه، عمليه طوفان الاقصى.
محضرين حالنا لهي المعركه وحاسبين حساب انها قد تطول، ومحضرين حالنا إلنا سنتين عم نحضر ومنرتب وصنعنا كتير وعندنا مصانع. كل شيء عندنا، من صواريخ 250 كيلو ل 160 كيلو ل 80 كيلو ل 45 كيلو ل 10 كيلو. عندنا مصانع هاونات وقذائفها.
Since the Hamas attack in Israel on October 7, in which more than 1,200 Israelis were massacred, according to latest figures from the Israeli Foreign Ministry, the world has been gripped by the rapidly unfolding events playing out in the Middle East. Israel and Palestine have been caught up in a bitter struggle for survival since the turn of the 20th century. There is a deep, complicated history behind the violence taking place today.
Rescuers in Japan are rushing to find 242 people missing after a devastating New Year's Day earthquake. A critical 72-hour period to find survivors from when the quake struck ended late on Thursday. Here we have more updates in this story.
The quake shook the Noto Peninsula in the central prefecture of Ishikawa on Monday afternoon, collapsing buildings, sparking fires, and triggering tsunami alerts as far away as eastern Russia. At least 57 people have been killed by the earthquake, according to Japanese public broadcaster NHK, citing officials from the Ishikawa prefecture. And 5 people were killed at Tokyo Haneda Airport on Tuesday when a Japan Airlines jet collided with a Coast Guard plane on its way to provide earthquake relief. Japan's meteorological agency lifted all tsunami advisories along portions of the country's western coast Tuesday, but more than 24 hours after the quake struck, there has been limited access to the northern part of the secluded Noto Peninsula. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida told reporters after a disaster emergency meeting Tuesday that a destroyed road had cut access to the area.
And now time for Global Roundup, short coverage of big global stories around the world.
This is Global Roundup, and now time for this week's top stories. Aditya L1, India's Sun mission set to reach destination in hours. India's first solar observation mission is set to reach its final destination in a few hours. On Saturday, the space agency ISRO will attempt to place Aditya L1 in a spot in space from where it will be able to continuously watch the sun. The spacecraft has been travelling towards the sun for 4 months since liftoff on Tuesday. Bangladesh election. A lopsided polls leave disillusioned voters, asking what's the point? The US Supreme Court has said it will hear a historic case to determine if Donald Trump can run for president. The justices agreed to take up Mr. Trump's appeal against a decision by Colorado to remove him from the 2024 ballot in that state. The case will be heard in February, and the ruling will apply nationwide. Lawsuits in a number of states are seeking to disqualify Mr. Trump, arguing that he engaged in insurrection during the US Capitol riot 3 years ago.
India is known for its cheap internet and data rates in world. But now suddenly the scenario are changing slowly. Watch our exclusive coverage.
A significant development in the telecom sector is causing quite a stir across the country. In the past year, India has witnessed an unprecedented 100% increase in the prices of the cheapest mobile recharge plans. This steep hike has not only affected the cost-conscious smartphone users, but has also put a strain on those who rely on basic phones for their communication needs. In a surprising move, telecom operators have also decided to discontinue single calling and validity plans, leaving many users in a lurch. The impact of these changes is particularly felt by the millions of users in India who still rely on basic mobile phones and do not require internet services. For them, the mobile phone is a lifeline for essential communication, and the sudden surge in plan prices has become a major cause for concern. Despite the widespread adoption of smartphones, there are still a significant number of users who prefer basic phones for their simplicity and affordability. This demographic, often overlooked, is now feeling the pinch as their communication costs.
On 13 January, Taiwan will elect a new president in a critical race that could redefine the island's relationship with China. Beijing has long claimed self-governed Taiwan as a breakaway province and has loomed over the island's election since the first one in 1996.
On 13 January, Taiwan will elect a new president in a critical race that could redefine the island's relationship with China. Beijing has long claimed self-governed Taiwan as a breakaway province and has loomed over the island's election since the first one in 1996. This year's race to replace sitting President Tsai Ing-wen is happening at a time when Taiwan has emerged as a key flashpoint between the US and China. Geopolitics aside, low wages and soaring home prices are among the domestic challenges weighing on voters. The current vice president from the governing Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, is on the ballot. He is leading polls by a small margin, followed by a former police chief who is running on the main opposition party Kuomintang or KMT's ticket. An ex-city mayor, who had initially upset calculations in the winner-take-all race, appears now to be trailing well behind.
In 2018, India set for itself the lofty goal of eliminating pulmonary tuberculosis (TB) by 2025, 5 years ahead of the deadline set by the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
In the ambitious quest to eradicate pulmonary tuberculosis by 2025, India faced a stark reality at the One World TB Summit in Varanasi in March 2023. Despite Prime Minister Narendra Modi's reaffirmation of commitment,
पुरानी अप्रोच के साथ चलते हुए नए नतीजे पाना मुश्किल होता है। कोई भी टीबी मरीज
the World Health Organization's Global Tuberculosis Report depicted a grim scenario. One person succumbed to the disease every 2 minutes in India. With a staggering 27% share of the 10.6 million global tuberculosis diagnoses in 2022, India grappled with the highest burden. Additionally, 47% of cases involved multi-drug resistant infections, resistant to at least 2 primary anti-TB drugs. While testing and treatment remained crucial, India also invested in developing a TB vaccine. Since 2019, scientists conducted trials on 2 vaccines, ICMR's recombinant BCG named VPM-1002 and a heat-killed suspension mycobacterium vaccine called Imuvac. The former modified TB bacteria's DNA, while the latter presented heat-killed TB bacteria. If successful, these vaccines could trigger an immune response against TB. The ongoing trial involved 3 groups, each receiving different treatments, including a placebo. However, the 12,000 participants, age 6 and above, remained unaware of their assigned treatment.
That's all for today. We'll be back on next Saturday at 19:30 GMT. In the meantime, visit our website for latest